Love After Lockup, Season 6, Episode 20 finale, Zariah and Troy. So last week we watched Troy as he went and picked up his mom. His mom was like, y'all brought me all the way out here. Did y'all break up? So we see Miss Karen. I could have sworn somebody was talking about my wig or talking about my hair. Now, I didn't get much out of it because I really didn't give a. Let's just go ahead on and be a buck 100 on it. But I could have sworn somebody was talking about my wig. And Iz was looking busted and disgusted, could not be trusted, looked like a mangled piece of. But anyway, I digress. Welcome, everybody. So, in this episode, we see Miss Karen coming to the house. Troy has not told his mother why he has his mother there. I thought it was some contradictions in the story, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was listening to it wrong because the episode in its totality was so boring. I don't know what to do. But he brought them up in the house and she said, "Oh, you be, oh, I didn't know you was this big." But I thought that later on she said that she didn't know the girl was pregnant. So I'm sure the rumor mill, as it got out on social media, I'm sure she knew that this girl was pregnant. So she comes in and she tells the girl that she's big. Now, one YouTuber that I look at, because I always tell y'all, I go and look at other people to see what they're saying to make sure that I saw the right god daggone thing. And another social media content creator was saying that she thought that when Karen was calling Zariah fat, that she was shading her. And I didn't pick it up that Karen was shading the girl. I just felt like, she just was shocked because maybe she had heard rumors that she was pregnant, I'm sure going through the family, through the neighborhood or whatever, but she ain't see her, so she was surprised. And so Zariah was like, okay, I'm 6 months pregnant, this is how I'm supposed to look. Now, Troy is the one that went and got his mother, but it seemed like it was a setup on Troy's behalf because throughout this particular episode, Troy hardly said nothing. He let his mother and Zariah go back and forth and fuss, and I thought that was very cowardly of him. I think that the way that he handles his mother and he handles his wife, that Troy, in my opinion, stands on the outside and peeks up through, peeks up every now and then and shows his head. And I think that, if this is your mother, and Zariah should not be fussing with your mother. There has got to be a time where you stand up for Zariah. I don't think that, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, that he's ever really stood up to his mother as it relates to her relationship and how she talks to him and his wife. There are times in your life where certain people, this is just me, where certain people get cut the off, whether you family, friend, or foe. You cut off. There's got to be a time where you take things into your own hand and say, you know what, you ain't gonna talk to me like that anymore, and you definitely ain't doing this in my house. He's not meek, Marie Lovely. Hey, boo boo, how you doing? Hey, Naya. Hello there to all my members. Hey, Sugar 48. Hey, JW. Anybody else in here? And my Ray Della. Absolutely. Meek is not, Troy's not meek. Troy cusses, he hollers, he acts a fool when he wants to. There is nothing meek about Troy. He's not a meek man. Let me look up the definition of meek. He's not meek. Mm-mm. Quiet, gentle, submissive, long suffering, patient, resigned, quiet. That ain't Troy. Troy will act like anytime he feel like it. He is not meek. He's weak. He's weak. This is my opinion. Because what you not going to do is come in my house and be disruptive. What you not going to do is take accountability for the stuff that you took me through and then pass it off and tell me that I'm wrong and that I'm wrong. He's weak. He is. I looked it up. What is weak? A weak person is generally someone who lacks strength, confidence, or determination, and thus is easily influenced, frightened, or defeated. That's what he is. That's what he is. This boy has told us over and over and over and over again about his relationship with his mother. He says that he felt abandoned by his mother. Period. That's his testimony. That's what it is. Miss Karen feels like, in my opinion, that because she loud, she's right. She stood out on the porch and said that she, okay, does not want to admit that she was wrong because she wasn't. She feels because Troy, and this is what she said out of her mouth, because Troy had his aunt and did not live with her, he was still taken care of, and that the father gave her access to him. Well, they did a flashback on Troy saying, "Mom, why didn't you come and see me at the jail?" She said, "Alcohol. Alcohol caused her downfall." But they can go on social media. They can go on Facebook and TikTok and cuss each other out and say the most vile stuff about each other. I remember seeing videos of Miss Karen saying that they wasn't filming and she didn't need to film. And now we see that Miss Karen is filmed. They were out there on Facebook, and some of the stuff that they were saying, I was so embarrassed by some of the stuff that they were saying out there downtown to the Facebook, I couldn't even watch it. And now we on a get along, get along. Now I'm gonna bring you to my house so you and my wife can have a conversation. And Karen is telling her, you should have told that mother. Where is the connection? How many of y'all raise your hand, call y'all kids mother? How many of y'all refer to your children as a mother and then say that you need a babysitter? You think that Zariah, even though they had this come to Jesus meeting, hey, Lord Lunkin, hey, boo, how are you? It's good to see you here. Hey, sweetie. That's my sweetie. I was so proud to see you get your first shout out. So proud of you. I love me some Lord Lunky. Y'all know I do. Anyway, let me stay focused. Okay. I'm acting like you're a celebrity in the chat. But how many of y'all call y'all kids MFers? And then you screaming, you're clapping your hands, you're doing all of this kind of stuff. The girl is pregnant. She's 6 months pregnant. Karen said, y'all didn't tell me that y'all was pregnant. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, Zariah was like, why wouldn't I? Why would I? Why would I tell you that I'm pregnant? Why would I share that news with you? Basically, with the way that you treated me. The things that you've said about me. Why would I tell you I'm pregnant? Why would I? Now, I'm not going to drag her like other content creators have done. And I mean, I'm talking about skull dragged her. One of the girls that I looked at, scold dragged her. I'm going to give her the grace because she said she was on alcohol. But I would never, ever even think to call something that I birthed a mother. There's some things that your children can't return from. Troy is wounded. He lost his daddy. He lived with his aunts. Even when Karen and him met outside of a restaurant in one of the earlier episodes, and Karen was like, I was his mom, and woo woo woo. And Troy was like, I disagree. But anyway, he's learning how to maneuver around her to still want to have some kind of relationship with her in his life. But at what cost? Now, I don't know if they have been back on social media. Maybe she's satisfied because she found out that she did get an opportunity to film. I don't know. But I just feel like the relationship is so toxic. And she's telling Zariah, you should have said something to your husband, but yet you need to mind your business at the same time. Houseway. How? How is Zariah supposed to know what's acceptable? Zariah said, you don't know why private conversations that I've had with Troy regarding his relationship with you, and you can't have it both ways. You can't say that I need to mind my business, but then and yet I'm supposed to check Troy to tell Troy to talk to you. She said the only reason why you here in this place right now is because of me. It was so toxic. And then she stood out there on the porch and said that she don't want to take ownership. No accountability. So how do you really heal with a person who will not take accountability? We don't know. I don't know what was going on with Miss Karen back in them days. why she walked away from her children. We don't know. But we know that there has been an effect on the children. It has definitely affected Miss Karen's children. I don't know what it is to be abandoned or to have my mom and dad walk on. I grew up in a two-parent home, so I don't have a clue about, well, I won't say a clue, but I don't have an understanding, a personal understanding or relationship with being abandoned. But I have heard people's testimonies and people's stories about being abandoned. And I know that it is something that people live with, most of them, for the rest of their lives, but they learn how to manage it. I know that there are some people who are able to reconcile. And this is what Troy and them are trying to do, because Troy wants his mother to be a part of the life. Zariah is saying that she's not going to back down when Miss Karen is, going off and saying a whole bunch of bull crap. And she was like, this is real. And they was like, that's what we've been trying to tell you. Zariah is pregnant. We want you to be a part of the baby, not the babysitter, but we do want you to be part of the baby's life. And there's going to be a time in my life that Miss Karen is going to have a come to Jesus meeting, hmm with herself, probably with nobody in the room. There's some things, you know, there's some things that I have done in my life as it relates to being a mom, and some come to Jesus meetings that I've had with myself and with my child about some mistakes that I've made, just simply not knowing. Some words that I may have used, not cuss words, but some words that I may have used that have caused her to maybe feel inadequate in some ways, right? And you trying to make a correction and you use those words, and you don't think at the time that this is something that is going to affect your child until you continue in, moving in a relationship with your child. You continue to love them and they grow older and they say, hey, do you remember when I was going through X, Y, and Z and you said this, that, and the other? That really hurt me. And you have the time and the opportunity, right, to fix it. And that is through trust, right? Because your child has to grow in trust with you to say, okay, I can now, it's safe for me to talk to my mom about this. And I can say that, there is no perfect parent. We all have made mistakes and stuff like that. But the thing that our children expect and want from us the most is accountability. They want us to be accountable and responsible for how we made them feel, regardless of whether that was our intention or not. Our children want us to take accountability. They do. They want us to just say sometimes just simply, I'm sorry, with no excuses. Then they show her a sonogram of the baby. She looks at the sonogram and say the baby got a big. I gotta tell my girlfriends, I ain't never seen nothing like this. When I tell you that these YouTubers dragged her for saying that, and I mean dragged her. Who does that? Now, I'm not saying that Miss Karen ain't a good grandmother, because I don't know nothing about her grandmother skills or anything like that. I don't know. So I won't put my mouth on that, but I will say I thought that that was absolutely inappropriate. I didn't find any humor in that. Because if it was someone else saying it about the opposite sex, a grandpa saying something about, y'all understand what I'm saying? We would be going off. Wasn't funny. It should have been cut. It really should have been cut. Not bleeped out. Cut. That's just too. Now, y'all know that if it wasn't for YouTube and me being up at the headquarters almost every month, downtown to the Hudson, I would be saying so much more. If I wasn't meeting with them every month, I would be on here flipping the out. Because had a man said that about a baby girl child, it just wouldn't have been acceptable. And I don't think that it was acceptable or appropriate. It's not a kiki. Some stuff you don't kiki and you don't caw about. Zariah was so uncomfortable. She took that picture, that sonogram, and shuffled it around. But the maturity on her. And and I was one of the one of the content creators said, I hate that Miss Karen behavior made me side with Zariah. And I was like, God diggity. That's exactly where I had it. She was very mature. She handled this perfectly. She maintained her composure and she handled herself like a woman. Zariah was very mature in this episode, all the way around. And you couldn't do nothing but side with her. You had no other choice. She didn't blow her top. This pregnancy appears to have calmed her down, and sometimes that's what pregnancies do. She's in a loving relationship with her husband. At the end, they said that Troy Baby Troy stayed with them for the summer. So I guess that they're getting along better with Ayana, the baby's mother, because we saw all the dragging and the gagging that was going on downtown to social media between them as well. But I must say that Zariah was absolutely mature. As we all know, they have had their baby. I think they had the baby, what, last week or something like that, y'all? I don't know. It was either last week or the week before last. They had their baby, but I just was like, okay, what a way to go out. What a way to go out. Anyway, I ain't gonna stay out here no longer. I got a couple of more people that we got to talk about, especially Broke. We definitely got to get into Broke because Broke was disgusting as well. Thank you, Ray Della. Love y'all. Let's go.